Imagine walking into a room where everyone seems friendly, but beneath the smiles, envy simmers. In another corner, someone's confidence masks a fragile ego ready to snap. And across the table, a leader, blinded by their own success, is about to make a catastrophic mistake. The truth is, people are not as they appear. Their emotions, fears, desires, and compulsions drive them in ways even they don't fully understand. And if you ignore this reality, you'll be manipulated, blindsided, or left behind. That's why Robert Greene wrote The Laws of Human Nature, to give you a practical codebook for reading people, mastering your own impulses, and turning the chaos of human behavior into clarity and power. In this audiobook, you'll hear the distilled essence of Greene's 18 laws. Each one is a lens, a way to see through appearances and grasp what really moves people. Some laws expose hidden weaknesses, like the law of irrationality or the law of envy. Others show you how to transform these forces into strength, like the law of rationality, the law of purpose, or the law of mortality. Greene's central idea is simple but radical: human nature doesn't change. From ancient history to modern life, the same drives repeat themselves. We repress desires, we play roles, we conform to groups, we chase what we can have, and we deny the truth of death. These patterns are timeless. By studying them, you stop being their victim, and instead learn to work with, and even master, these realities. He warns us, you cannot rely on surface charm or logic when dealing with people. Underneath, everyone is ruled by deep currents, emotions, biases, and compulsions. When you accept this, you stop expecting people to behave rationally. You start seeing their true motivations. And you can finally stop being surprised by betrayal, manipulation, or sudden shifts in mood. This is not about cynicism, it's about clarity. When you understand the laws of human nature, you gain empathy, foresight, and control. You can diffuse hostility, inspire loyalty, and channel your own darker drives into productive action. You'll hear each law unpacked with stories, clear principles, and actionable takeaways. Think of it as a field guide, a way to decode human behavior in real time. Now hit the subscribe button and let's begin with the foundation. If you want to master human nature, you must start by mastering yourself. That brings us to Law 1, the law of irrationality. Master your emotional self. In the year 216 BC, the great Carthaginian general Hannibal faced the Roman army at the Battle of Cannae. The Romans had superior numbers and confidence on their side. But Hannibal understood something they didn't: their emotions would betray them. He deliberately provoked their aggression, arranging his troops in a crescent formation. The Romans, eager to crush him, charged straight in, exactly as he predicted. But their fury blinded them. As they pressed forward, Hannibal's flanks closed around them. In a few hours, the mighty Roman army was annihilated. What destroyed them wasn't Hannibal's size or strength. It was their own irrationality. Their inability to pause, to question, to see how emotions distorted their judgment. And the lesson hasn't changed in over 2,000 years. When emotions rule, reason dies. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of irrationality. Humans think of themselves as rational beings, but beneath the surface, we are emotional, reactive, and often blind to reality. We all carry hidden biases. Confirmation bias: we notice facts that support what we already believe. Availability bias: we exaggerate whatever comes easily to mind. Group bias: we adopt the opinions of those around us, without scrutiny. Add to this the inflaming factors of envy, anger, fear, and excitement, and suddenly, our judgment is hijacked. We think we're deciding logically, but in truth, we're obeying unconscious forces. The problem isn't that we have emotions. The problem is being unaware of them, letting them dictate our choices, and convincing ourselves we're rational. Strategies. Greene lays out practical steps to master your emotional self. 1. Recognize the bias. Start by assuming you are irrational. Watch for signs: defensiveness when challenged, overconfidence in predictions, or anger clouding your speech. By naming the bias, you weaken its hold. 2. Beware the triggers. Strong emotions are contagious. A heated group, a personal insult, or even overexcitement can tilt you off balance. Greene advises step back. Delay reaction. Time is your ally. 3. Balance emotion with reason. Greene borrows the image of Athena, the goddess of wisdom, as the inner voice you must cultivate. Athena represents calm, proportion, and foresight. The practice is simple. Whenever you feel strong emotion, pause and ask, what are the facts? What are my assumptions? What would Athena see that I'm missing? This isn't about suppressing feelings. It's about integrating them, using emotion as fuel but letting reason steer the course. The law of irrationality teaches one blunt truth. You are your own worst enemy when you let emotions dictate decisions. The Romans at Cannae couldn't master themselves, and their empire nearly collapsed. But you can. By assuming you're irrational, naming your biases, and delaying reactive moves, you transform chaos into clarity. Greene's challenge is clear. Become the calm presence in the storm, the rational voice among the irrational. Do this, and people will trust your judgment, defer to your foresight, and follow your lead. Law 2, the law of narcissism, transforms self-love into empathy. In 18th century France, a young aristocrat named Marie Antoinette became queen at just 19. Surrounded by luxury, flattery, and constant attention, she grew blind to the struggles outside her palace walls. When famine spread through Paris and bread prices soared, she reportedly dismissed the people's cries with the infamous line, "Let them eat cake." Whether she actually said it or not, the phrase captured her reputation: disconnected, self-absorbed, and incapable of seeing life from anyone else's perspective. That blindness to others is the essence of narcissism. And while we may not live in palaces, narcissism lives in all of us. Principle. Greene describes narcissism as a spectrum. On one end is healthy self-regard, confidence, resilience, the ability to love yourself enough to withstand criticism. On the other end is toxic narcissism, constant need for validation, hypersensitivity, and inability to connect with others. Here's the danger. Our culture rewards the narcissistic type. Social media, personal branding, and competitive workplaces all tempt us to turn inward, to crave attention, to curate an image, to see others only as mirrors of ourselves. But unchecked narcissism isolates us. It makes relationships shallow, blinds us to opportunities, and slowly erodes trust. Strategies. So how do you transform self-love into empathy? Greene offers several strategies. 1. See the narcissistic spectrum. Realize where you fall. Do you crave constant praise? Do you take criticism personally? Self-awareness is step 1. 2. Recognize the types. Greene describes classic forms: the controller, who manipulates others; the show-off, who constantly boasts; the victim, who uses suffering to attract attention. Spotting these patterns helps you protect yourself. 3. Shift the focus outward. Empathy is the antidote. Instead of asking, "How do I look?" or "What do I get from this?" ask, "What does this person need? What do they feel?" This simple shift weakens narcissistic impulses. 4. Practice radical listening. In conversations, resist the urge to talk about yourself. Instead, probe deeper into the other person's world. Not only will you learn more, but you'll also earn trust and influence. 5. Balance self-love with empathy. Greene is clear: you can't erase narcissism, nor should you. You need a solid self to engage with others. The goal is balance, strong inner confidence paired with deep outward empathy. Takeaway. The law of narcissism teaches that unchecked self-absorption blinds us, just as it blinded Marie Antoinette. But when you convert self-love into empathy, you gain power that narcissists never will: the ability to see people clearly. Empathy makes you magnetic. People open up, they feel understood, and they want to work with you. And in a world where most are busy projecting themselves outward, your ability to truly listen and connect becomes a rare, and irresistible, advantage. So, love yourself enough to stand tall. But look outward, not just inward. That is how self-love becomes influence. Law 3, the law of role-playing: see through people's masks. In the 1500s, Queen Elizabeth I of England ruled a divided, dangerous kingdom. Surrounded by rivals and suspicious nobles, she had to project strength without provoking rebellion. Her solution? She became a master actress. She played the role of the Virgin Queen, pure, devoted to her country, untouchable by marriage alliances. She staged her life as theater, dressing in dazzling gowns, speaking in carefully rehearsed words, and projecting an image of divine authority. Whether her subjects loved or feared her, they all believed in the role she played. Behind that mask, Elizabeth secured her throne for over 40 years. The lesson? People rarely show you their real face. What you see is a performance. Principle. Robert Greene explains, humans are social animals, and survival depends on acceptance. From childhood we learn to wear masks, polite smiles, strategic flattery, carefully chosen words. We perform the roles society expects: the loyal worker, the charming date, the confident leader. This second language of tone, posture, and gesture often reveals more than words themselves. Yet most of us take appearances at face value, missing the deeper truth. To master this law, you must do two things. 1. See through masks. Learn to decode the signals people can't hide. 2. Perfect your own mask. Shape the image you project, instead of leaving it to chance. Strategies. 1. Observe the second language. People leak emotions through micro-expressions, body shifts, tone changes. A forced smile, averted eyes, or sudden stiffness can reveal irritation, envy, or attraction before words do. Train yourself to notice these cracks in the mask. 2. Look for inconsistencies. When someone's words say one thing but their face or actions say another, trust the nonverbal. The body rarely lies. 3. Decode patterns. One gesture alone might mean little. But repeated cues, constant flattery, exaggerated confidence, overdone friendliness, often signal deeper motives. 4. Master your own role. Elizabeth I understood the power of impression management. So should you. Ask, what role do I need to play in this context? Confident leader? Neutral mediator? Patient listener? By controlling your mask, you control how others respond. 5. Be strategic, not false. Greene cautions, don't confuse role-playing with lying. The goal is not deception, but adaptation. By choosing the right role, you make people comfortable, open, and receptive. Takeaway. The law of role-playing reveals a hidden truth. Life is theater, and everyone is acting. If you take masks at face value, you'll be deceived, disappointed, and blindsided. But if you sharpen your eye, you'll see through the performances. You'll catch the envy behind a compliment, the insecurity behind arrogance, the manipulation behind charm. And when you consciously shape your own mask, you stop being reactive, you become the director of how others perceive you. Remember, people may resist advice, but they rarely resist a good performance. Play your role well, and you gain influence without resistance. Law 4, the law of compulsive behavior, determined the strength of people's character. In the late 1800s, the American tycoon John D. Rockefeller built one of the greatest fortunes in history. What set him apart wasn't just intelligence, it was character. When markets crashed and competitors panicked, Rockefeller stayed calm, disciplined, and consistent. Even under extreme pressure, he displayed the same steadiness that defined his business empire. Contrast that with countless others who rose quickly but collapsed just as fast. They lacked the same internal strength, their compulsions, tempers, or vanity betrayed them. Rockefeller's story reveals a timeless truth: brilliance fades, charm deceives, but character endures. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of compulsive behavior. People reveal who they truly are not in their words, but in their patterns. No matter how skilled someone appears, their character eventually surfaces, especially under stress. A liar will lie again. A reckless person will take reckless risks. A disciplined person will consistently show discipline. This law challenges us to stop being dazzled by surface traits, looks, charm, talent, and to focus instead on the deeper patterns of behavior that never change. Strategies. 1. Study the pattern. Don't judge people by isolated actions. Look for repeated themes, broken promises, sudden bursts of anger, a trail of failed projects. These are fingerprints of character. 2. Spot the signs early. Greene lists telltale clues. Impatience reveals entitlement. Inconsistency signals unreliability. Excessive flattery often masks envy or manipulation. Learn to read these as warnings. 3. Beware the toxic types. Some patterns are especially dangerous: the explosive, who erupts under pressure; the eternal victim, who blames others for everything; the rigid, who cannot adapt. Greene advises, keep your distance, these patterns rarely change. 4. Value the superior character. Look for people who show resilience, humility, patience, and consistency. These are the allies and partners worth building with. 5. Test under stress. The truest measure of character comes when circumstances turn difficult. Watch how people react under pressure. That's when the mask slips and compulsions reveal themselves. Takeaway. The law of compulsive behavior reminds us, character is destiny. People cannot escape their patterns, and those patterns will shape their future, and yours if you're tied to them. When you focus on character instead of charm, you avoid toxic entanglements, build lasting alliances, and surround yourself with people whose strength holds under pressure. And for yourself, cultivate a superior character. Discipline, patience, and consistency may not sparkle at first glance, but they outlast everything else. Law 5. The law of covetousness. Become an elusive object of desire. In Renaissance Italy, the powerful Medici family used art not just as decoration, but as strategy. They commissioned rare, exquisite works that no one else could possess. Nobles and rivals, dazzled by these treasures, longed for the same, but could never obtain them. The Medicis understood something timeless: people don't desire what's abundant or easy. They crave what's scarce, distant, and just out of reach. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of covetousness. Human desire is fickle. We always want what we don't have. The moment something is ours, its shine begins to fade. This law explains countless patterns: the chase in romance, the envy of neighbors, the obsession with trends. People are less interested in the object itself than in the emotional charge of wanting. If you want influence, don't flood others with availability. Learn to trigger and sustain desire. Strategies. 1. Create scarcity. When you make yourself or your product too available, people take it for granted. Limit access. Withdraw occasionally. Scarcity intensifies value. 2. Spark curiosity. Hint at more than you reveal. A touch of mystery compels attention far more than full disclosure. 3. Stimulate through contrast. People notice what stands out. By being different, in style, ideas, or presence, you draw focus and stir desire. 4. Redirect envy. Covetousness often breeds envy. Instead of provoking hostility, channel it. Let others admire what you possess, but share just enough to turn envy into aspiration. 5. Aim for the supreme desire. Greene warns, don't just make people desire you, connect that desire to something higher, an idea, a purpose, a vision. This makes attraction last beyond the initial chase. Takeaway. The law of covetousness teaches that desire is never about the object, it's about the longing. If you allow yourself to be too common, too easy, too predictable, you lose magnetism. But if you cultivate mystery, scarcity, and distinctiveness, you become the elusive prize others can't resist. Remember, it is not abundance but rarity that creates desire. Be strategic in how much of yourself you reveal, and you'll turn curiosity into fascination, and fascination into lasting influence. Law 6. The law of short-sightedness. Elevate your perspective. In 1720, Europe was swept up in a frenzy known as the South Sea Bubble. Investors poured fortunes into a company promising riches from trade with South America. Prices skyrocketed. Everyone wanted in. But the entire boom was based on speculation, not reality. Within months, the bubble burst. Thousands were ruined, and even the great scientist Isaac Newton admitted he had lost heavily. Reflecting later, he said, "I can calculate the motions of heavenly bodies, but not the madness of men." The madness came from short-sightedness, the irresistible pull of immediate profit, blinding people to long-term consequences. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of short-sightedness. Humans are wired to focus on the present, the immediate reward, the quick win, the short-term relief. But when leaders, investors, or individuals give in to this impulse, they sacrifice the future. Projects collapse, trust evaporates, opportunities vanish. Great thinkers, builders, and leaders stand apart not because they're smarter, but because they see further. They discipline themselves to think in years and decades, not moments. Strategies. 1. Spot the 4 signs of short-sightedness. Overvaluing immediate results. Constantly changing direction. Panicking under pressure. Forgetting long-term purpose. If you notice these in yourself or others, danger is near. 2. Resist emotional triggers. Excitement, fear, and herd behavior all drag you into short-term reactions. Pause before acting on sudden urges. 3. Adopt a long horizon. Train yourself to ask, how will this play out in 5 years? 10 years? This mental stretch exposes short-term temptations for what they are, traps. 4. Value consistency over drama. The steady, patient builder outlasts the flashy opportunist. Aim for small, compounding gains rather than spectacular gambles. 5. Become the far-sighted human. Greene emphasizes, people crave leaders who can see ahead. By cultivating foresight, you become a rare and trusted guide in a world addicted to immediacy. Takeaway. The law of short-sightedness warns us, the greatest danger isn't failure itself, but the blindness that leads to it. When you chase the quick win, you mortgage your future. But when you lift your gaze and discipline yourself to think long-term, you not only avoid disaster, you gain authority. People will follow the one who resists the madness of the moment and sees clearly into tomorrow. Remember, anyone can win today. The real power belongs to those who plan for decades. Law 7. The law of defensiveness. Soften people's resistance by confirming their self-opinion. In ancient Athens, the orator Demosthenes struggled to be heard in the courts. His rival spoke with force, attacking and commanding the crowd. But Demosthenes learned a different approach. Instead of telling people what to think, he made them feel as if the ideas were their own. By weaving his arguments into the audience's self-image, appealing to their pride as citizens, their sense of fairness, their belief in reason, he lowered their defenses. People didn't feel coerced, they felt respected. And that made his influence unstoppable. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of defensiveness. People naturally resist when they feel judged, corrected, or forced. Attack their ego, and they dig in deeper. But if you confirm their self-opinion, if you appeal to who they believe themselves to be, they open up. Persuasion, then, is not about crushing resistance, but about disarming it. The key insight: people don't change because of logic. They change because it fits the story they already tell themselves. Strategies. 1. Validate before persuading. Begin by acknowledging people's intelligence, experience, or good intentions. Once they feel seen, they'll hear you. 2. Use indirect influence. Rather than issuing commands, suggest options. Frame ideas as choices, not orders. This preserves people's sense of autonomy. 3. Mirror their values. Listen for words and themes they identify with: fairness, creativity, independence, and link your message to those values. 4. Plant seeds subtly. Instead of arguing, tell a story, ask a question, or drop a suggestion. Let people arrive at the conclusion themselves. 5. Practice flexibility. Greene stresses, persuasion fails when you cling rigidly to your view. Stay adaptable, meet people where they are, and guide them gently. Takeaway. The law of defensiveness reminds us, people are not machines waiting for instructions, they are egos needing affirmation. If you push, they push back. But if you align your message with their self-opinion, they lean in willingly. Influence is not about domination, it's about resonance. When people feel understood, they lower their shields. And when the shields are down, even the hardest hearts can change. Remember, don't fight resistance. Dissolve it. Law 8, the law of self-sabotage. Change your circumstances by changing your attitude. In the early 1900s, Thomas Edison invited reporters to see his latest invention, an early attempt at a talking doll. The mechanism was clunky, the voice eerie, and the doll quickly broke down. Critics mocked it as a disaster. But Edison didn't despair. He brushed it off as an experiment, not a failure. Within months he was back at work, chasing his next breakthrough. That same resilient attitude carried him through thousands of missteps before he delivered the light bulb and revolutionized the world. Edison's story shows that circumstances don't defeat us. Our attitude does. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of self-sabotage. We like to blame luck, enemies, or external obstacles when things go wrong. But more often, our mindset is the true culprit. A negative, constricted attitude narrows our vision. We see problems instead of opportunities, threats instead of possibilities. And by expecting failure, we often create it. By contrast, an expansive attitude opens doors. Optimism, persistence, and flexibility attract allies, reveal solutions, and transform setbacks into fuel. Your life, Greene argues, is largely shaped not by what happens, but by how you interpret and respond to it. Strategies. 1. Spot the constricted attitude. Cynicism, constant complaining, blaming others, or quitting too soon are red flags. Left unchecked, they guarantee stagnation. 2. Cultivate the expansive attitude. Train yourself to see setbacks as information, not verdicts. Ask, what can I learn? Where's the hidden advantage? This shift turns obstacles into stepping stones. 3. Harness the ultimate freedom. Greene stresses, you may not control events, but you always control your response. That freedom is your greatest power. 4. Surround yourself wisely. Attitudes are contagious. Stay close to people with expansive energy, and distance yourself from chronic pessimists. 5. Practice daily resets. Each day, notice where your mindset closes down, and deliberately reframe it. Small corrections compound into long-term resilience. Takeaway. The law of self-sabotage teaches that success or failure begins inside you. Negative attitudes quietly undermine your progress, while expansive ones create momentum even in difficulty. You don't need perfect conditions to thrive, you need the right perspective. Like Edison, you can face setbacks with curiosity instead of despair, turning apparent defeat into innovation. Remember, the world bends not to those who complain about circumstances, but to those who master their attitude toward them. Law 9. The law of repression. Confront your dark side. In the early 20th century, the brilliant psychologist Carl Jung broke away from his mentor, Sigmund Freud. Freud believed human beings were driven primarily by sexual urges. Jung saw something broader and darker, what he called the shadow. The shadow is the collection of impulses, emotions, and desires we repress because they don't fit our public identity. We bury them, pretending they don't exist. But they don't disappear, they slip out in disguised, often destructive ways. Think of the preacher caught in scandal, the kind friend who suddenly erupts in cruelty, or the seemingly calm colleague who sabotages projects in silence. Their shadow, long denied, finally bursts through the cracks. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of repression. Every one of us carries a dark side, aggression, envy, selfishness, lust, or insecurity. Culture teaches us to repress these feelings, but repression doesn't erase them. Instead, it makes them leak out in contradictory behaviors, passive aggression, sudden anger, self-destructive choices. Left unchecked, the shadow grows stronger, shaping our lives from the unconscious. The paradox is clear: the more we deny the shadow, the more it controls us. The only path to freedom is confrontation, facing, integrating, and redirecting it. Strategies. 1. Identify your shadow. Look at the traits you most criticize in others. Often they mirror what you've repressed in yourself. Notice when your reactions are unusually strong, they may signal a hidden part of your own psyche. 2. Watch for contradictory behavior. The overly nice person who secretly resents others. The moral crusader who hides private vices. The calm leader who explodes unpredictably. These contradictions are shadow leaks. 3. Accept, don't deny. Greene stresses, the goal is not to destroy the shadow, but to acknowledge it. Say to yourself, yes, I feel envy. Yes, I have aggressive impulses. Yes, I crave recognition. Honesty disarms the shadow's power. 4. Channel the dark energy. The shadow is not only destructive, it's also a source of vitality and creativity. Aggression can fuel boldness. Envy can push you to improve. Acknowledged and directed, dark energy becomes productive. 5. Beware the unintegrated shadow. Greene warns, people who deny their darkness often project it onto others, blaming the world for what they secretly carry. These are dangerous individuals, blind to their own nature, and therefore unpredictable. Takeaway. The law of repression forces us to face an uncomfortable truth. Beneath every polished mask lies a shadow. Denying it makes us its prisoner. Confronting it makes us free. When you integrate your shadow, you gain depth, authenticity, and resilience. People sense your wholeness, that you're not pretending to be pure or perfect. And that authenticity draws trust and respect. Remember, what you repress controls you. What you accept, you can control. Law 10, the law of envy. Beware the fragile ego. During the Italian Renaissance, the artist Michelangelo created works of staggering genius: the David, the Sistine Chapel ceiling, the Last Judgment. While many praised him, not all admiration was pure. His rivals, consumed by envy, spread rumors, criticized his techniques, and tried to undermine his commissions. One sculptor, jealous of Michelangelo's fame, even slandered him to the Pope. But Michelangelo knew the truth: talent doesn't only attract admiration, it provokes envy. And envy, left unchecked, can be more dangerous than open hatred. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of envy. Envy is the most common, but the most hidden, human emotion. Few will admit to it, but many feel it when they see others succeed. Envy is born of comparison. When someone close to us has more recognition, wealth, beauty, or influence, it threatens our fragile ego. And because envy is shameful, people disguise it as criticism, sarcasm, or false concern. The danger is twofold. Others may envy you and secretly undermine you, while your own envy can corrode your spirit if left unexamined. Strategies. 1. Learn the signs of envy. Watch for micro-expressions: a forced smile, a quick glare, faint praise, or sudden coldness after your success. Envy is rarely declared openly. 2. Know the types. Greene identifies enviers such as: O the friendly rival, who flatters but secretly resents. O the critic, who constantly finds flaws in your work. O the saboteur, who quietly blocks your progress. Recognizing the type helps you manage the risk. 3. Manage how you display success. Flaunting victories invites envy. Instead, downplay triumphs, share credit, or emphasize the effort rather than the reward. This soothes fragile egos around you. 4. Convert envy into emulation. When you feel envy yourself, flip it. Instead of resenting others' success, study them. Ask, what can I learn? How can I adapt their strengths to my path? 5. Go beyond envy. The ultimate move is to admire openly, to celebrate others without resentment. This liberates you from corrosive comparison and builds genuine connections. Takeaway. The law of envy reminds us: behind many friendly faces lies fragile pride, quick to resent your rise. If you ignore this, you may suffer betrayal, sabotage, or silent hostility. But when you detect envy early, you can diffuse it with tact, or avoid it altogether. And when you master your own envy, you transform bitterness into growth. Remember, success attracts envy as fire attracts shadows. Be wise enough to see it, and strong enough to rise above it. Law 11, the law of grandiosity, know your limits. In the 1990s, a young entrepreneur named Elizabeth Holmes launched Theranos, a startup that promised to revolutionize blood testing. She spoke with bold certainty, wore the black turtlenecks of Steve Jobs, and captivated investors with grand visions. But the reality didn't match the rhetoric. The technology didn't work, the results were unreliable, and the empire collapsed in scandal. Holmes's downfall wasn't due to lack of ambition, it was the delusion of grandiosity, believing she was destined to change the world without respecting limits or reality. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of grandiosity. Success has a hidden danger. It feeds the ego, making us believe we are infallible, larger than life, and exempt from ordinary rules. Grandiosity distorts judgment. Leaders overextend, investors gamble recklessly, and creators overpromise. The higher they rise, the harder they fall. True power doesn't come from inflated dreams, it comes from disciplined growth, grounded in reality. Strategies. 1. Beware the success delusion. After victories, remind yourself, luck, timing, and help from others all played roles. Humility protects against overreach. 2. Test your limits honestly. Instead of chasing every opportunity, ask, do I have the skills, resources, and patience to succeed here? If not, build gradually. 3. Learn from grandiose leaders. History is littered with figures, Napoleon in Russia, corporate CEOs in reckless expansions, who collapsed because they believed they could not fail. Let their stories be warnings. 4. Practice. Practical grandiosity. Greene doesn't say abandon ambition. Instead, channel it into focused, achievable projects. Build one success at a time. Dream big, but execute small and steady. Takeaway. The law of grandiosity warns, ambition becomes deadly when it detaches from reality. Success can intoxicate, convincing you that you're destined for greatness without effort or limits. But by grounding your vision, pacing your growth, and tempering ego with humility, you protect yourself from spectacular collapse. Remember, true greatness is built brick by brick, not in one reckless leap. Law 12, the law of gender rigidity. Reconnect to the masculine or feminine within you. In the early 20th century, the groundbreaking dancer Isadora Duncan shocked audiences with her free-flowing movements. At a time when dance was rigid, formal, and restrained, she abandoned convention. She drew from both masculine strength and feminine grace, blending them into something entirely new. Her art felt alive because she refused to be confined by rigid roles. She embraced both sides of human nature, and in doing so, revolutionized modern dance. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of gender rigidity. Every person carries both masculine and feminine qualities, assertiveness and sensitivity, logic and intuition, strength and receptivity. But society pressures us into rigid identities. Men are told to suppress tenderness, women to hide assertiveness. This creates imbalance and stifles authenticity. The danger is that rigid gender roles cut us off from half our potential. The integrated person, by contrast, draws from the full range of human traits, becoming more adaptable, creative, and whole. Strategies. 1. Discover your authentic mix. Reflect on the traits you've been taught to hide. A man might notice suppressed vulnerability, a woman might uncover unexpressed boldness. These hidden qualities are part of your authentic self. 2. Notice projections. Often, what we idealize or criticize in others reflects the traits we repress in ourselves. By recognizing these projections, we reclaim lost parts of our nature. 3. Blend opposites. Great creators and leaders often combine traits: toughness with empathy, reason with intuition, decisiveness with patience. This balance makes them unpredictable and magnetic. 4. Defy rigid expectations. Instead of conforming to what culture dictates, experiment. Try expressing the qualities you usually hide. Over time, this expands your freedom and adaptability. 5. Seek wholeness, not role-playing. Greene warns, don't simply imitate the other gender's stereotypes. The goal is integration, blending qualities naturally, in a way that feels true to you. Takeaway. The law of gender rigidity teaches that true power lies not in conforming to narrow roles, but in embracing the full spectrum of your humanity. When you reconnect with both the masculine and feminine within, you expand your range. You become more creative, more balanced, more magnetic. Remember, rigidity limits you. Integration frees you. By breaking out of gender cages, you step into the larger, richer life that is truly yours. Law 13. The law of aimlessness. Advance with a sense of purpose. In his youth, Leonardo da Vinci was endlessly curious. He sketched birds, dissected corpses, experimented with machines, and painted with unmatched vision. To many, he seemed scattered, chasing too many things at once. But beneath the diversity of his work was a unifying purpose: to understand the nature of life itself. That sense of purpose gave coherence to his curiosity, driving him to create inventions and artworks that still astonish the world. Leonardo's genius wasn't random. It was focused. His voice, his purpose, guided everything he did. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of aimlessness. Without a clear purpose, people drift. They chase trends, get lost in distractions, or allow others to dictate their path. The result is mediocrity, confusion, and wasted energy. With purpose, even ordinary talents become powerful. Direction channels energy, inspires discipline, and helps you endure hardship. Purpose gives meaning to your struggles and turns work into legacy. The tragedy of aimlessness is not failure, it's never truly living your own life. Strategies. 1. Listen for the voice. Greene suggests that deep within, each of us has a calling, a natural inclination, a fascination that pulls us. Pay attention to what excites you, what you return to again and again. That is your voice. 2. Differentiate false purposes. Many people mistake ego-driven goals, money, status, approval, for true purpose. These eventually collapse. Test your purpose. Does it energize you even without applause? 3. Make it concrete. Purpose isn't vague inspiration. Define it in projects, missions, or goals that translate into daily action. 4. Use setbacks as fuel. A strong purpose reframes obstacles. Instead of discouragement, failures become lessons that refine your direction. 5. Live with a sense of mission. Purpose should not just guide career, but life itself. When you align choices, relationships, and habits with your purpose, your energy compounds. Takeaway. The law of aimlessness reminds us, drifting is death in slow motion. Without purpose, life scatters into fragments. But when you hear your inner voice and commit to it, you channel energy, attract allies, and find resilience in hardship. Purpose transforms your work from survival into contribution, and your life from chance into destiny. Remember, success without purpose is hollow. But purpose, even in small achievements, creates a legacy. Law 14. The law of conformity. Resist the downward pull of the group. In the 1950s, psychologist Solomon Asch conducted a famous experiment. He showed groups of people simple line drawings and asked them to identify which lines matched in length. The answer was obvious. But when planted actors in the group deliberately chose the wrong answer, most participants, even knowing it was wrong, went along with the group. They conformed, afraid to stand out. The experiment revealed something uncomfortable. Even intelligent, independent people bend under group pressure. And in larger arenas, politics, business, culture, this pressure can lead to disastrous decisions. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of conformity. Humans are tribal by nature. We long for belonging, approval, and shared identity. But groups often pull us downward. They reward conformity, punish independence, and drown out critical thinking. History is filled with examples, from mob violence to corporate scandals, where individuals abandon reason to follow the herd. To master human nature, you must resist this gravitational pull. You must learn to stand apart while still navigating groups with intelligence. Strategies. 1. See the group dynamic. Don't be naive. Every group has unwritten rules, hierarchies, and rituals. By observing these, you avoid being unconsciously absorbed. 2. Beware the court mentality. Greene describes how courtiers at royal courts flattered, gossiped, and schemed to gain favor. Modern workplaces often operate the same way. If you conform blindly, you become trapped in petty games. 3. Strengthen your independence. Cultivate habits of solitary thought. Read widely, reflect often, and make decisions outside the crowd's influence. Independence of mind is like a muscle, it grows with practice. 4. Use the group without losing yourself. You don't need to isolate entirely. Learn to cooperate, but always anchor yourself in personal principles and long-term goals. Let the group serve your purpose, not consume it. 5. Create your own reality group. Greene suggests surrounding yourself with people who value truth, creativity, and independence. The right group elevates rather than diminishes. Takeaway. The law of conformity reminds us, the crowd is seductive, but dangerous. It offers comfort, but at the price of independence. When you think for yourself, you may face resistance or ridicule, but you also gain clarity, originality, and power. And when you carefully choose the groups you join, you can harness collective energy without losing your individuality. Remember, the herd moves in circles. Only the independent advance. Law 15. The law of fickleness, make them want to follow you. In ancient Rome, Julius Caesar was adored by the people. His victories filled arenas with cheers, his generosity won the loyalty of soldiers, and crowds celebrated him as a hero. But that same public quickly turned after his assassination. Many who once praised him now hailed his killers as defenders of the Republic. The Roman mob had shifted its allegiance overnight. This story illustrates a timeless truth: people's devotion is fickle. One moment you are celebrated, the next, forgotten or despised. To lead, you must understand this instability, and learn how to stabilize it. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of fickleness. Human loyalty is shallow when based only on emotions, promises, or charisma. Crowds demand novelty. Followers crave attention. The moment they feel neglected or disappointed, they drift away. The challenge of leadership, therefore, is not simply to gain followers, but to continually renew their commitment, and to root it in something deeper than temporary enthusiasm. Strategies. 1. Beware the entitlement curse. People often believe they deserve more recognition, more rewards, more attention than you give. Don't ignore this reality. Manage expectations carefully. 2. Establish clear authority. Greene emphasizes the importance of symbols, rituals, and decisive actions. Followers feel secure when you radiate confidence and clarity. 3. Reward loyalty publicly. Recognize and elevate those who stand by you. This not only binds them closer but signals to others the value of allegiance. 4. Balance closeness with distance. Too much familiarity weakens respect. Too much distance weakens connection. Great leaders alternate between approachability and awe. 5. Anchor authority in inner strength. Ultimately, charisma fades. The leader who endures is the one grounded in inner authority, self-possession, vision, and integrity that inspire trust even when moods shift. Takeaway. The law of fickleness teaches that people's loyalty is fragile, easily swayed by emotion or novelty. If you rely only on charm, generosity, or short-term victories, you'll eventually lose them. But when you establish authority through consistency, symbols, and inner strength, you stabilize the unstable. Followers may waver, but they return to the leader who radiates confidence and purpose. Remember, don't chase devotion, build authority. Make people want to follow you not just today, but again tomorrow. Law 16. The law of aggression. See the hostility behind the friendly facade. In 16th century Florence, Niccolò Machiavelli observed court life with sharp eyes. He saw men smile at one another during banquets, exchange polite words in public, and then plot betrayals in secret. Behind the polished manners and gestures of friendship, Machiavelli recognized a deeper current. Human beings are aggressive by nature. Some attack openly. Others disguise it behind charm, humor, or passive resistance. But aggression, in one form or another, is always present. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of aggression. Humans are not purely cooperative, we are competitive, ambitious, and capable of hostility. This doesn't mean everyone is violent. Rather, aggression often appears in subtler forms: envy disguised as critique, procrastination used as sabotage, or excessive flattery masking resentment. The danger is failing to recognize aggression when it hides behind friendliness. If you take people's masks at face value, you may find yourself undermined without ever knowing why. Strategies. 1. Learn the types of aggression. Direct aggression, open confrontation, verbal attack, physical intimidation. Passive aggression, procrastination, sarcasm, subtle resistance. Sophisticated aggression, charm or manipulation designed to disarm before striking. 2. Decode the signals. Watch for inconsistencies, forced friendliness, jokes with a sting, unexplained delays. These often reveal hidden hostility. 3. Do not take aggression personally. Greene notes, aggression comes from deep drives, not just from you. Seeing it as human nature allows you to respond calmly. 4. Deflect and redirect. Instead of retaliating impulsively, channel aggression into controlled strategies. Redirect hostility into competition, negotiation, or productive challenge. 5. Harness your own aggression. Repressing your aggressive energy weakens you. Use it consciously, to defend boundaries, fuel ambition, or drive creative work. Controlled aggression is power. Takeaway. The law of aggression reveals that hostility often hides behind smiles. To ignore this is to invite sabotage and disappointment. But when you learn to detect aggression early, you can protect yourself and respond strategically. And when you channel your own aggressive energy productively, you gain drive, focus, and strength. Remember, aggression denied is aggression uncontrolled. See it, accept it, and master it, in others and in yourself. Law 17, the law of generational myopia, seize the historical moment. In the late 1960s, young Americans rebelled against tradition. They rejected their parents' conformity, embraced counterculture, and demanded sweeping social change. Music, fashion, politics, and values shifted in just a few years. What many didn't see was that they were part of a larger cycle, one that had repeated across centuries. Every generation revolts against the one before it, only to be replaced in time by another wave of rebellion. This pattern reveals an opportunity. If you understand the spirit of your generation, and how it collides with others, you can ride history's tides instead of being swept away. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of generational myopia. Each generation sees the world through its own lens, shaped by childhood experiences, crises, and technologies. These lenses create collective blind spots, a kind of myopia, or short-sightedness. The danger comes when you assume your values are universal and permanent. In reality, the world shifts as new generations rise. If you fail to adapt, you're left behind. But if you anticipate the changes, you can align yourself with the future. Strategies. 1. Study generational patterns. Each cohort reacts against the excesses of the one before. Tough generations give way to indulgent ones, rebellious youth become cautious elders. History is cyclical, not linear. 2. See your own bias. Acknowledge how your upbringing colors your worldview. Recognizing this helps you escape generational blind spots. 3. Read the spirit of the times. Observe the mood, what people fear, crave, or reject. This zeitgeist shapes markets, politics, and culture more than reasoned arguments do. 4. Adapt without losing yourself. Don't cling rigidly to outdated values. Update your approach while staying true to your deeper principles. 5. Aim beyond your era. Greene advises cultivating ideas and creations that outlast generational cycles, projects rooted in universal human truths rather than fleeting fashions. Takeaway. The law of generational myopia reminds us, no generation owns the truth. Each is short-sighted in its own way, reacting to the past while blind to the future. By studying these cycles, you gain foresight. You position yourself ahead of trends, anticipate shifts, and adapt before others. Remember, time is a current. You can resist and drown, or learn to ride the waves. The choice is yours. Law 18, the law of death denial. Meditate on our common mortality. In 1945, as World War II ended, Japanese writer Yukio Mishima narrowly avoided death when his city was bombed. The experience left him obsessed with mortality. Unlike most who tried to forget, Mishima confronted death directly, weaving it into his novels, plays, and philosophy. He believed that by facing death squarely, life gained urgency and clarity. To Mishima, ignoring death was the greatest illusion, embracing it was the deepest freedom. Principle. Robert Greene calls this the law of death denial. Humans are the only creatures fully aware of mortality, yet we spend our lives pretending it doesn't exist. We distract ourselves with work, entertainment, or fantasies of permanence. But denial weakens us. It makes us anxious, fearful, and prone to chasing empty goals. When we repress death, we also repress life. By contrast, those who meditate on mortality gain perspective. They waste less time, appreciate relationships more, and act with urgency. Strategies. 1. Break the denial. Acknowledge the reality: death is inevitable. Don't hide from reminders of it, see them as teachers. 2. Live with urgency. Ask yourself, if I had only a year left, what would matter? Use this lens to prioritize projects, relationships, and choices. 3. Strip away illusions. Death reveals the emptiness of superficial pursuits, wealth for its own sake, shallow approval, endless distractions. Refocus on what endures. 4. Transform fear into vitality. Instead of seeing death as loss, view it as the force that gives life intensity. Knowing the clock is ticking energizes your days. 5. Adopt a philosophy of life through death. Greene suggests cultivating daily practices, reflection, journaling, even small rituals that remind you of mortality and keep your values sharp. Takeaway. The law of death denial teaches that the greatest illusion is permanence. By repressing death, we drift through life half alive. By facing it, we wake up. Mortality is not a curse but a compass. It directs you toward what matters most, strips away trivialities, and fills each moment with urgency. Remember, you cannot escape death. But you can choose to live so fully that when it comes, nothing essential is left undone. Synthesis and conclusion. We've traveled through Robert Greene's The Laws of Human Nature, exploring 18 timeless truths. Let's pull the threads together. The first half of the book shows us the dangers: irrationality, narcissism, envy, repression, short-sightedness, and conformity. These forces, left unchecked, make us victims of our own impulses and blind to others. The second half reveals the path forward: empathy, perspective, character, purpose, and mortality awareness. These are not abstract ideas. They are practices that can be woven into daily life. Think of the laws as a map. Know yourself by confronting irrationality, envy, and repression. Read others by seeing through masks, studying character, and detecting aggression. Shape influence by mastering persuasion, cultivating desire, and stabilizing loyalty. Live deeply by reconnecting with purpose, transcending generational bias, and remembering mortality. How to apply. Here are 3 simple ways to make the laws stick. 1. Daily awareness. Each day, pick one law to observe in yourself and others. For example, today, I'll watch for signs of envy. This keeps the lessons alive. 2. Slow the reaction. Most mistakes come from impulse. Pause before reacting, whether in conflict, envy, or temptation. That pause creates space for wisdom. 3. Think long-term. Like Greene reminds us, short-sightedness is deadly. Anchor your choices in years, not moments. Ask, will this matter in a decade? Over time, these small practices transform how you see people, and how people see you. Closing inspiration. Human nature will never change. We will always wrestle with envy, aggression, desire, and fear. But by studying the laws, you rise above the chaos. You stop being surprised by people, and start guiding events with clarity. The challenge is not perfection. The challenge is awareness. When you see reality as it is, not as you wish it to be, you gain freedom. And when you live with purpose, empathy, and mortality in mind, you gain depth. So ask yourself, which law will you begin practicing today? If you found value in this audiobook summary of the laws of human nature, share it with a friend who would benefit. And don't forget to subscribe for more powerful audiobook summaries, designed to save you time, sharpen your mind, and give you the timeless wisdom of the world's greatest thinkers. Thank you for listening. Live wisely, live fully, and remember, the most important mastery is mastery of human nature.